Dear friends, welcome to our next lesson of Turkish. Right now we are going to focus in this lesson on the present tense of verbs. Last time we learned how to say the third person singular. He or she does or is doing something in present tense. We learned how to say, for instance, çalışıyor, he, she is working. Çalışmıyor, doesn't work or isn't working. Today, let's start from the first person. What suffix do you need to add so that you say I am working? It's very easy. After or, you need to add suffix yorum. So you need to say çalışıyorum, and that means I work. Bankada çalışıyorum. I work in a bank. Üniversitede çalışıyorum. I work at the university. Okay? And the same, you add absolutely the same suffix you add everywhere. So, for instance, you want to say I'm reading. I'm reading a book. Kitap okuyorum. Or you want to say I'm sitting. Oturuyorum. This is called sofa. Kanape in Turkish, kanape. So I say kanapede oturuyorum. I'm sitting on a sofa. You can say I want. This is a very widely used verb, of course, want. İstiyorum. İstiyorum. And then you can add other verbs, but make sure you don't do it like in English. Like, I want to, and after that you say, for instance, I want to sit. You don't say istiyorum oturmak. You first say oturmak, then you say istiyorum. It's the other way around. Oturmak istiyorum. I want to sit. Just like you don't say okuyorum kitap, you say kitap okuyorum. I am reading a book. Kitap okuyorum. Oturmak istiyorum. For instance, okumak istiyorum. I want to read. Or you want to say istemiyorum. I don't want. Çalışmak istemiyorum. I don't want to work. Dinlemek istemiyorum. I don't want to listen. Kitap istemiyorum. I don't want book. Elma istemiyorum. I don't want an apple. The next person is you singular, which was like sen. Remember sen? So here we have sun, yorsun. We say like istiyorsun, you want, istemiyorsun, you don't want. Yazıyorsun, you are writing, yazmıyorsun, you are not writing. Kitap yazmıyorsun, you are not writing a book. In the last lesson we learned the imperatives for this singular, the second person, when you say just yaz. So you can say like, hey, write, why aren't you writing? Why will be niçin. So you can say like, yaz, niçin yazmıyorsun? Right, why aren't you writing? Or you can say, read the book, why aren't you reading? Kitap oku, niçin okumuyorsun? And you can make other sentences like that. You can write those in the comments. For instance, you can say, otur, niçin oturmuyorsun? Sit, why are you not sitting? So now we know the singles. We know okuyorum, okuyorsun, okuyor. Let's move to plurals. We, you in plural, and they. First of all, we. Now in we have the ending z. Okuyoruz. For instance, istiyoruz. Biz, we, biz. Biz yaşamak istiyoruz. We want to live. Biz İstanbul'da oturuyoruz. We live in Istanbul. You see, yaşamak, oturmak, both are used for live. Oturmak is in some location. Yaşamak is like to be alive. Oturmak also means to sit, but it also means to live somewhere. So I can say, İstanbul'da oturuyoruz, İstanbul'da yaşıyoruz. As you see, these are not difficult, because the endings, they correspond to the typical sounds we use. Like, remember, ımız, and here we have z, just yoruz. What do we have for second person plural? You in plural. For that we have sunuz. So it's just like in singular sun, you just add uz there. Nerede oturuyorsunuz? Where do you live? In which location do you live? Nerede oturuyorsunuz? You can ask. Nerede çalışıyorsunuz? Where do you work? And so on. Ne istiyorsunuz? What do you want? This is a polite way of asking to one person, or it is asking to many people. Finally, the third person plural, which is they, is very easy. You just add the suffix of plurality to the end. İstiyorlar, okuyorlar, gidiyorlar, geliyorlar. They go, they come. Öğrenciler gidiyorlar. Students go. Öğrenciler geliyorlar. Students come. Öğrenciler üniversitede okuyorlar. They study at the university. We can do lots of dialogues with what do you want to do? I want to do this or that. Ne yapmak istiyorsun? Then you say, for instance, çalışmak istiyorum. I want to work. Or you can say, kitap okumak istiyorum. Or you can say, I want to listen to music. Müzik dinlemek istiyorum. And then if you want to ask like, who wants to go? Kim gitmek istiyor? So you start with the word kim, who. Kim gitmek istiyor? So then if you need to answer, I want to go, you need to add the pronoun ben. Because then you emphasize the ben. Ben gitmek istiyorum. Kim gitmek istiyor? Ben. Ben istiyorum. Kim okumak istiyor? Ben okumak istiyorum. Oku. Tamam oku. Tamam means okay. Tamam oku. Okuyorum. Or you can say like this, a little dialogue like that. Kim konuşmak istiyor? Ben konuşmak istiyorum. Ben istemiyorum. Ben konuşmuyorum. Ben Türkçe konuşmuyorum. Also, if you want to ask special questions, the questions without question words, but for instance, do you live in Istanbul? Or you want to ask something like, do you want? Then you need this particle mı, mi, mu, mü that we learned. Remember, we learned like misin, miyim, like senin annen değil miyim? Am I not your mother, for instance? İstanbul'da mısın? Are you in Istanbul? The same thing works for this verb in present tense. So what do you do when you ask like, do you want? You need to ask, sen istiyor musun? Because after your, it always will be with u. After o will be u. Just like sporcu musun? Are you a sportsman? İstiyor musun? Do you want? İstiyor musunuz? İstiyor muyum? Do I want? So let's go back to our dialogue. Who wants to read? Kim okumak istiyor? Ben istiyorum. Sen istiyor musun? Hayır, ben istemiyorum. What is this dialogue? Kim okumak istiyor? Who wants to read? Ben istiyorum. I want. Sen istiyor musun? Asking somebody else, for instance. Do you want? Hayır istemiyorum. No, I don't want. So we can ask, for instance, like, nerede oturuyorsunuz? Then we have the question word nerede. Nerede oturuyorsunuz? So we don't need to use the particle mı. Nerede oturuyorsunuz? Where do you live? New York'ta oturuyorum. I live in New York, for instance. And then if I want to ask, do you live in London? Now see here we don't have any question word. So I need to ask, Londra'da oturuyor musunuz? You can also learn the word unfortunately or sadly. This is a bit long word, maalesef. So let's learn this, maalesef. Sometimes Turkish people just say maalesef and it means no. Unfortunately no. So you say, geliyor musunuz? Maalesef. Or maalesef gelmiyoruz. Like unfortunately we are not coming. Maalesef. So let's work a little bit with these verbs and try to make some phrases, the verbs that we were learning. We learned a lot, we worked a lot with the verb istemek, to want, and with the word okumak, for instance. We didn't learn a lot the word, okay, let's say Türkçe yazmak, to write in Turkish, Türkçe okumak, read in Turkish, Türkçe konuşmak, speak in Turkish. Türkçe yazıyor musunuz? Are you writing in Turkish? Evet, yazıyoruz. Türkçe okuyor musunuz? Evet, okuyoruz. Türkçe konuşuyor musunuz? Hayır, konuşmuyoruz. So we are reading, we are writing, we are reading, but we are not speaking in Turkish. Beni dinliyor musun? Are you listening to me? Evet evet dinliyorum. Yes yes I'm listening to you. If somebody, you want to ask if somebody is alive, you can ask yaşıyor mu? For instance, is your mother alive? Annen yaşıyor mu? Evet yaşıyor. You can say like baban yaşıyor mu? Hayır yaşamıyor. You can say for instance if somebody is returning today, today is bugün. Bugün dönüyor. Ben bugün dönüyorum. I'm returning today. And finally we'll learn one more verb, öğrenmek. This verb means to learn. So we already learned two nouns, öğrenci and öğretmen, like student and teacher. Now we can also learn the verb öğrenmek. It means learning. So we can say Türkçe öğreniyorum. I'm learning Turkish. Ben Türkçe öğreniyorum. The difference between okumak as study and öğrenmek as learn is that okumak is used, for instance, üniversitede okuyorum. I study at a university. But when you learn something, you use the word öğrenmek. You can say Türkçe öğreniyorum. I learn Turkish. You can also say matematik öğreniyorum. I learn math. You can say felsefe öğreniyorum. I learn philosophy. And anything, you know. So if you don't speak Turkish, but you are learning it, you may say Türkçe konuşmuyorum. Türkçe öğreniyorum. Öğrenciler Türkçe öğreniyorlar. For instance, students learn Turkish. Or students want to learn Turkish. Öğrenciler Türkçe öğrenmek istiyorlar. If you take some other languages like İngiliz, English, İngilizce, Çin, China, Çince, these are the names of languages. So if you want to say that you don't learn Chinese but you learn English, you should say Çince öğrenmiyorum. İngilizce öğreniyorum.